straight to Cape Town, where President Cyril Ramaphosa is addressing the anniversary of the South African firm 91.
You quoting Lenin today completely changes my view of you. I thought you were just an investment person, but now I see there's a touch of Leninism in you. Mr. Gareth Penny, the chairperson or chairman of 91, the executive mayor of the city of Cape Town, where I pay my rates and taxes, and extremely high rates and taxes. Mr. Gordon Hill-Lewis, with his colorful socks tonight. I just asked him where he bought them from. He said at Woolies. You can check him out later. He's got really wonderful socks. I almost said sexy, but I shouldn't say that. His Excellency Anthony Philipson, the British High Commissioner to South Africa, Kosi Ribuwane Matsira, my chief from the Matsira Royal House, the management and staff and clients of 91, including shareholders, including the many, many faces that I've come to know over the years. It's wonderful seeing so many of you here, and distinguished guests and ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a great pleasure for me to be present at this milestone celebration with all the people who've been part of the 91 journey. It is a journey that began back in the tumultuous times of the early 90s. One of the things that you didn't mention, Hendrik, about 1991 is that that was the year I was elected Secretary General of the African National Congress. But then it was a great honor to have served as Madiba's Secretary General. And that was the year I began sitting right down at his feet and learning a great deal. And he imparted a lot of knowledge and skills that I cherish up to today. So that was the year also when you got started. I've been privileged to have been associated with 91 in various capacities over the years, including during my time when I was chairperson of Sasria, the reinsurance company that's owned by the government, which played a very important role recently after our July uprising or unrest. 91 is a proudly South African firm with a truly global footprint, and it's a joy to hear that having started here in South Africa, it spread its wings to London, to Hong Kong, to the United States, and to many parts of the world. And Hendrik, we're very proud of you. You are one of our really best exports to the world who we have imported back again. So thank you very much for all you do. It's truly been a joy watching you on the world stage, growing this company, making it what it is today. Investec Asset Management was founded by a small bank with a reputation for innovation and disruption. It was founded at a time when the local asset management industry was dominated by the life insurance companies. Over the past 3 decades, it has established itself within the industry, and for a company that originated here in South Africa and today manages 2.8 trillion rand, I almost said billion, then I correct myself, trillion. I don't even know how many zeros there are in a trillion, but it's great. It's a really wonderful. Well done, Hendrik. Now, with its listing as an independent entity when you demerged in 2020, you came of age and you developed your own identity. I wondered then why the name had changed and it was 1991, but now I understand more fully. True to its founding ethos, 91 continues to invest for a world of change, as Hendrik himself just said a minute ago. And it continues to pursue change. It is a firm that I'm pleased to say is committed to transformation and gender equality. 91 has signed the Women in Finance Charter. Not many entities or companies have signed this type of charter, and I understand it hopes to achieve a global target of 30% of women, and listen to this, in senior management positions by 2023. That is fantastic and phenomenal. It is truly commendable that half of its board of directors are women, and that in 2020 reporting period, 91 increased the number of women in senior management from 26% to 28% globally. It says much about the firm's vision that it recently joined the Net Zero Asset Managers initiative to support investing that is aligned with the goal of net zero emissions by 2050 or sooner. This 30-year journey has not been without its own challenges and difficulties. Yet 91 has persevered and made its mark on the domestic and international investment landscape, and will no doubt continue to do so right into the future. We understand 91's vision, and to understand that vision, you have to look at Hendrik as a visionary and all those who work with him. Yes, let's applaud Hendrik for being the visionary. I say so advisedly because I listened to him right at the beginning when he started the Investec Asset Management entity. And the passion that he exuded, the passion that he had, and the leadership that he demonstrated clearly distinguished him as a visionary that he is right up till today. Sometimes very difficult to find someone who's been on a stage for 30 years and continues to have the same passion. So you are a long-distance runner, my brother. Well done. Thank you. We also understand 91's vision and ambitions to be closely aligned with our own national goals to improve the lives of South Africans, to attract greater investment, and to grow and transform our economy so that it becomes an economy that benefits all. We are pursuing these goals at a time when the South African economy, alongside, I guess, economies of many countries, is confronting strong headwinds. Just as we've not been spared the economic impact of global COVID-19 pandemic, so too will South Africa be affected by the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. We are already seeing the impact of the conflict on global commodity prices, and should the conflict continue, and I'm hoping and hopeful that that conflict does come to an end. Having spoken to President Vladimir Putin, and also going to be speaking to other leaders about how this conflict can be mediated and be brought to an end, I'm hopeful that it will come to an end sooner. And we've been picking up some positive news, and when I spoke to President Putin, I got a sense that we are looking at an agreement possibly in the making soon, because he too would like to bring this conflict to an end, and I think the President of Ukraine would also like to do that, and I'm hoping to speak to him as well. So, we will see the effects of this conflict on many parts of our economy and in the daily lives of our people. And that is why it is important that this conflict should be mediated, should be negotiated to an end as quickly as possible. I'd like the Secretary General of the UN to also get actively involved, as should other leaders, to bring this conflict to an end. We don't need it. Nobody benefits from war, and that war must come to an end soon and soonest. And it is for this reason that we say that the international community must work with the governments of Russia and the Ukraine to end these hostilities and to achieve a meaningful and lasting peace. As a country, we are firmly focused on driving growth and creating employment for our people. Our unemployment rate has reached astronomical levels. Real GDP grew by 1.2% in the fourth quarter of 2021, taking the annual growth rate for 2021 to around 4.9%. The annual increase in real GDP in 2021 was primarily led by a higher economic activity in finance, precisely the sector that you are leading in, Hendrik. This shows that our economy is recovering. But even as we expect 2.1% growth this year, it is far below the levels that we need. We need growth levels of 5% and above. It is not enough to turn the tide on unemployment and to lift millions of South Africans out of poverty and to begin to earnestly address the problem of inequality in our country. That is why in this year's State of the Nation address, I call for a new consensus for growth and employment. We need to deepen our cooperation, build on progress, particularly in the implementation of the Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan, and to focus our collective capabilities on unlocking the potential of our economy and our people. And embedded in our makeup as South Africans is a capability that we need to unlock and to unleash. We are emerging from a period of significant turbulence and stagnation, but day by day, month by month, we are making headway in addressing the many challenges that have deterred investment and that have also undermined growth. There's been progress in the implementation of the much-needed structural reforms in vital economic sectors, and many people have felt that we're moving rather too slowly, and there are many reasons for this. And one of those reasons is the capacity of the state was really destroyed and pummeled to something that's not really strong over the past few years. And rebuilding that capacity of the state does take time, because it's like a huge oil tanker. It takes its time to move, but it is moving. And we are going to bring about the changes that are necessary to revitalize our economy. Last week, we began the auction of the high-frequency communication spectrum. Now, so you understand, this has taken easily more than 12 to 15 years just to get this done. And last week we were able, if you like, to touch that holy grail. It has taken us time, but we've done it, and we are doing it, and it is going to yield the results that we all want and need. And there are many other reforms that have been long in the making, that have stalled over time, but reforms that are necessary to get this country moving forward again. So we are unlocking the new spectrum for mobile telephones for the first time, as I said, in more than a decade. We're improving operational efficiency in our ports and railways and streamlining and modernizing visa application processes to attract the much-needed skilled workers and providing the necessary support for small businesses to expand and to grow. A specialized unit in the presidency will be dealing with the problem, the perennial problem that we've had of red tape. Red tape is one of the cancers that has impeded the growth of our economy, and I decided that I needed, listen to this Leninist Hendrik du Toit. I said I needed a red tape czar. Now, you will understand this because of your links to Lenin in Russia, that I needed a red tape buster who's going to bust red tape, and that person will be lodged or accommodated in the presidency so that we untangle the red tape that exists in many, many ways. And I want to digress for a minute. The red tape is all over. When I was trying to build my house here in Cape Town, it took me, Mayor Gordon Lewis, listen to this. It took 3 years for the plans to be approved. And that is red tape. But so that I give you some comfort. In Johannesburg, once I became deputy president, and then I had all these protectors following me all the time, I needed to extend the guardhouse at the gate 4 meters by 4 meters. Just 4 meters by 4 meters. It took me 3 years to get approval from Johannesburg as well. So I'm giving you comfort, my good friend. So it is the red tape that needs to be broken down. And it permeates a number of disciplines and areas of what we need to do to get this economy growing. Now, through the Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan, our National Infrastructure Build Program is beginning to take shape and is proceeding at pace. The Infrastructure Fund is preparing a pipeline of projects with an estimated value of 96 billion rand, with a number of catalytic projects expected to start construction this year. Now, many of us have been saying, where are the cranes? Where's the yellow equipment that we need to see all over? It is going to happen, but it is also going to happen with the assistance and the support of 91, because that is where we also want their money to be invested. We are working on strategies to harness the potential of new growth industries, ranging from cannabis production to electric vehicles to green hydrogen. Stakeholders have finalized new master plans for the steel industry, for the furniture and global business services as part of revitalizing our manufacturing base. And when we come to business services, we're finding that our country has become so attractive to global players. They are setting up here in Cape Town, they are setting up in Johannesburg, and South Africa has become, if you like, the hub for business services. The conclusion of the Just Energy Transition Partnership last year will support our just transition to a low-carbon, climate-resilient and inclusive economy and society. As we transform our economy from fossil fuels, we want obviously that to be driven by just transition. We are going to be opening up new industries, new business opportunities. We have set up the Presidential Climate Finance Task Team, led by former Reserve Bank Deputy Governor Daniel Minele, to mobilize the funds towards the just transition, and to also ensure that the money that we were promised in Glasgow does come through and we put it to good use. We are dealing with the insidious effects of corruption that have been laid bare in the hearings of the State Capture Commission. Several agencies, including the National Prosecuting Agency's Investigating Directorate, the Hawks, the Special Investigating Unit, the SIU that is, and the Tribunal, are hard at work with investigations, prosecutions, and recovery of funds. And many people keep on saying, President, we want to see people in orange overalls, orange. And that takes time. That takes a particular skill base to ensure that prosecutions do take place, and they are going to take place. We are going to see justice being done, and we are going to see people being prosecuted because corruption had set in very deeply in South Africa. But we are addressing it, and we will do everything to rid our country of corruption. This we shall do. Now, in all these respects, there is still a long way to go, but important progress is being made, and the results will be seen as we move on. The same can be said of our economy. The green shoots of recovery have broken ground, and we can expect to see more and more signs of growth. The National Development Plan calls on us not only to grow our economy, but to ensure that it is an inclusive economy. We must and will continue pursuing growth and transformation at the same time. Transformation remains a challenge also in this industry that you are in, as black-owned firms continue to struggle to attract assets. And wherever I go, this is what they continue telling me. Although black staff representation in the sector has increased from about 50% in 2014 to 61% in 2021, the industry as a whole has a lack of black and women portfolio managers. We need to focus on that. And while the financial sector drives transformation within its own ranks, it does have an important role to play in transforming the landscape of our cities, our towns, and many other areas, including rural areas. Investment in economic and social infrastructure is an investment in transformation. The work of Infrastructure South Africa and the Infrastructure Fund will make it easier to fund managers to invest in these vital projects. Because what we have set up, which we didn't have before, is that we've set up a very good system of project preparation, project identification, and project management. We now have that skill and invest in Infrastructure South Africa. And it is this skill that is going to enable us to be able to attract fund managers. The proposed increased regulatory limit for retirement fund investment into unlisted assets will allow investment managers to allocate capital to projects that can deliver the twin goals of returns and economic impact. And I'm glad that Mr. Kamfa is here, and he's heading that entity that deals with retirement funds money. Fund managers, such as 91, need to use their influence to encourage the companies in which they invest on behalf of their clients to adopt sustainable business models. The type of business model that Hendrik du Toit subscribes to should be the type of model that we influence companies to adopt as well, because this is where transformation will really take effect. These should not just include environmental policies, but also social practices. That is important, and I'd like you to recognize that. Now, as responsible corporate citizens and as a proudly South African firm, we want 91 to be part of the national effort to create more jobs. And the sentiment expressed by Hendrik is apt here. It's very important that they see 91 as also being a change agent. And this is what we would like to see. To bring more young people into the world of work. We look to companies like 91 to support initiatives like the Youth Employment Service, which provides young people with workplace experience, and the South Africa or SA Youth Mobi Network, which connects unemployed young people with training opportunities. Now, it is really encouraging that 91 has graduate and intern programs that provide business mentoring for new entrants to the asset management industry. And Hendrik, I applaud 91 for this. This is highly valued, and it's something that pleases me exceedingly, and thank you very much for taking this journey. Now, if there's an opportunity to align with existing interventions to give young people more workplace exposure, let us do so. When I launched the Youth Employment Service, and we had conceptualized it with people like Stephen Kosef and one of the Coleman brothers, we wanted to attract as many companies to be part of this. And disappointingly, not many companies have come forth. I had expected it to have hit more than 200,000 young people being brought in, but we've never reached that level. And I want to continue encouraging businesses to look at the Youth Employment Service as a very attractive process of bringing young people into the world of work. As we all know, our employment rate amongst young people is exceedingly high. These are just some of the ways in which this proud firm and many others can continue to invest for a world of change and thereby make a world of difference. As I've witnessed the growth of 91, I've always been inspired by your optimism about South Africa and its prospects. And this, Hendrik, I must tell you, has been infectious. Each time you've come from London and I've listened to you, and even at a distance, it's been really infectious to listen to you being so positive about your own country. And where you have had criticism, it's been positive criticism. The type of criticism that eggs us on, that encourages us, not the destructive part. And I'm saying, yes, let's criticize. Let's look at the negatives and talk about the negatives, but also say, move on, address those negatives, which is precisely what Hendrik has been doing over the years. And that's why I agreed so easily, Hendrik, to come and join you tonight to be part of the celebrations. Because you exude a very positive vibe. Very positive. I will not use other accolades because they could embarrass Hendrik, so I don't want him to be embarrassed. And you know how when white people become embarrassed, they blush. When I become embarrassed because I'm so dark, you can't see it. So as you continue to grow and expand, your feet, I know, remain firmly planted on South African soil. Just as 91 has and continues to embrace change, this country too has known tumultuous moments and changes in both the past and the present. We share a common understanding, not just of the necessity of change, but the opportunity that change brings. You are here because you've always seen a brighter future for your country. It is within our grasp. I congratulate 91 on this important anniversary. May you continue to grow, and may you continue to blaze a trail of success. We are proud of what you have achieved, and may the next 30 years, and there must be a 30 years, Hendrik, be brighter still. I don't know how old you will be, but I want you to be around for another 30 years. Thank you very much.
President Cyril Ramaphosa there addressing that 91, of course it used to be Investec Wealth business event. It's a 30th anniversary, but one of the key things that he spoke about there is that he is going to be speaking to the Ukrainian president, Francis, and also talking about the issue of red tape and how much it continues to be a cancer in government, and even reminding the House that he has appointed Sipho Nkosi to head up this team.